straight into it. And if you're watching this on YouTube and you don't want to check the entire, you know, reading thing, there's gonna be a timestamp to a quick TLDR in the comment section. Okay, boys. We have Le Balance Manifesto. Okay. Every expansion provides an opportunity for us to reassess the current meta, improve K mechanics that are currently weak, and reduce the power of those that are excessively strong. This could mean a lot of things. You'll see more detail in the patch notes tomorrow, but in the meantime, our team has outlined some of the changes you'll be reading about and the goals we had in mind while making these decisions. Game balance in Battle of Exile Harvest. In Battle of Exile Harvest, we're putting much of our balance focused on brands, war cries, and two-handed weapons. As a result of Delirium going core, we are also taking opportunity to balance Cloud Jewels and their place within the game. We worked to improve two-handed weapons with big slow hits by improving these investment options across the board. We also lowered the output of some of the most successfully powerful builds from Delirium, like those that utilize the Purposeful Harbinger notable passive and the Archmage Stormbrand. I can't talk today. Simultaneously, we've also introduced many new options and playstyles for people to gain new levels of power. I have a hard time believing we're gonna get new levels of power compared to the Heralds. Two-handed weapons and slow attacks. Two-handed melee weapons focus on having great risk for great reward, but over time their power has dropped relative to one-handed weapons. We intend to bring this power back while still keeping the risk. They're slower on average than one-handed weapons without the free mechanics that come with shields or dual wielding, but now have more defensive advantage available to them. Oh, I wonder what those are. Slow, heavy hits now deal enough damage to stun even the toughest bosses without as much investments in stun mechanics. New sources of AoE and powerful inherent damage from skills and supports. Free up passives for life and defenses if you choose to. What am I kidding? Everyone in softcore is going to take even more damage. Including new options for defensive Warcry effect and new armor keystone. New armor keystone? How does that have if this is the keystone that we've always seen, that doesn't have anything to do with the two-hander. All high-level two-handed melee weapons have been rebalanced, pushing greater disparity between weapon types. The goal is that every high-level two-handed weapon has a role and is an ideal base type for someone. For most two-handed weapon types, each weapon has its own implicit mod focusing on a specific mechanic associated with its weapon type. There have been new additions to the passive skill tree providing power and utility, especially for melee characters like the Tribal Fury. Yeah, that's a very nice notable. Once only available from Blood Anointment. Leech passives give much more total recovery per second for life leech than before. So it's gonna, I mean, yeah, so reaching maximum leech is much easier for slow attacks. Yeah, the biggest issue with leech and two-handers were that because you need a certain amount of hits before you cap your leech rate, and if you have slow hits, you're gonna have to have a lot of hits to get it done. So faster builds faster attacking builds cap their leech much faster. Many skills intended to work well with two-handed weapons have been reviewed. Sunder, Static Strike. I don't believe this was mentioned in the stuff we have seen before though. Were changed significantly while many others had numerical changes. Some slow attacks with added damage have had it removed and their damage multiplier improved, as flatted add damage inherently favors build with high attack speed. And now you're relying more on the weapon damage. Crown Slam, Earthquake, Ice Crash, Wall Crown Slam, and Wall Earthquake have had their added physical damage or added cold damage removed. Oh, I really like that they removed the added cold from Ice Crash. That was so annoying. Because it's like conversion and shit. I'm so happy about them proving that. The damage multiplier going up. I mean, it's gonna make leveling harder, unless the bases are actually actually nuts. But in the endgame, when you have a good weapon, having the higher multiplier is more important than the flat. This also makes... Oh, this is a big nerf to face breakers. Huh. Interesting. Shit. Okay. I mean, it probably needed that anyways. Many of the new war cries and the new Fist of War support greatly benefits lower attacks, energizing very well with 200 weapons. There are no many powerful options to invest in for slow attacks rather than the handful of mechanics that existed previously. Herald of Purity has been changed from adding physical damage to granting more physical damage, giving 12% more damage at gem level 20. This was provided equal benefit to weapon attacks regardless of speed. Oh shit! Another face breakers nerf. Oh shit. Oh, Facebreaker is getting a beating in these notes. They haven't mentioned Facebreakers at all yet, and it's just getting... Oh. Oh. Shockwave support now has multiple cooldown charges. Oh, that's very good. As the new Fist of War support doesn't work with the triggered shockwaves, shockwave support is best suited for slow non-slam attacks. I wonder what those are gonna be. Dual wield. The physical damage multiplier when dual wielding has been removed. Thank God. Now tell me that it's gonna be attack damage multiplier. Just attack damage, okay? Because it made no sense that it's physical. These were originally added as a fix from half a decade ago to improve the damage of dual wielding relative to higher damage of two-handed weapon and the overwhelming defensive power of shields at the time. This allows two-handed weapons to remain the kings of damage while dueling the king of speed with some defensive benefits. Oh, so they just actually nerfed it. Interesting. Ooh. Okay. I mean, I really hope that this change is gonna make it so that 200 deal the actual most damage. Dual wield is the fastest with some defense, and the shield has the most defense. That's how it should be, and for the longest time, dual wield has always been the most damage. So, gonna be interesting to see. I mean, it's only like 15. Isn't it 15% more? Like losing 15% more physical damage doesn't... Yeah. Oh wait, sorry, it's 20%. 20%. I was thinking about 15 as block. So 20% more attack, physical damage. I mean, those GG dual wield builds are still gonna be GG. So, yeah. Okay. Remains to be seen if this was a justified nerf. Seems a bit weird though that instead of just buffing the 200s enough, they ended up nerfing dual wield. I'm not entirely sure what to think about this yet. Brands. The design of brands make them very powerful, clearing out areas with a very passive playstyle, as well as dealing damage to bosses with very little time spent standing still. This often meant brand characters weren't engaging with many challenging mechanics, instead running around waiting for enemies to die. We've known for some time that parts of these mechanics needed to change to tone down these advantages before we could introduce new brand skills, and have endeavored to make these changes without heavily impacting the core identity of brands. Brands now drop at their original or recalled location when the enemy they are attached to is slain. This prevents them from chaining repeatedly out of the player's control, killing monsters that haven't had a chance to meet play yet. Yeah, so this is not gonna be as big of an issue because of the recall location. So as long as you keep recalling them, you're still gonna, like, they're never gonna go back to the, all the way to the back, like 5 screens behind you. I think, honestly, I think this is gonna be fine. Especially with the, if the attachment range is gonna be a, you know, you can have as great of an attachment range as you already have. Brand Rigor no longer refreshes the duration of brands. We very much appreciate the utility of Brand Recall, but it has played a significant part in making brand skills feel very passive. We want to move in the direction of players having to recast their brands more often, with the option to invest in brand duration to reduce how often one of them. I really hope the brand duration gets increased now. Otherwise, it's gonna feel like just cast your normal caster build basically, with just a higher duration of skills. Brand Recall has a longer cooldown and a lower value of cooldown recovery per level. Oof. We added Brand Recall cooldown recovery to a number of places to the passive tree to give new avenues for investing in it rather than receiving the full bonus just for leveling the gem. We have lowered the detach duration of brands to bring them in line with mines, which also had their detach duration lowered when last reviewed. This is simply because the duration was unreasonably long, especially with the new and plentiful brand duration passives. Yes, everyone is just gonna scale brand duration. Yes, that's exactly what they're gonna do, GGG. Because of all of these changes, we've been able to slightly improve the power of Storm brand, greatly improve Armageddon brand, improve the utility and power granted by brand passives, and a new brand cluster, and of course, introduce new brands, including the Arcanist brand that lets you trigger many different spells using brands. The Hardfire node has also changed, mentioned below, okay. The Arcanist brand sounds like a crazy utility setup. You can curse with it, you can, like, let's say that you're playing a build that wants a curse and benefits from Unnerve. You can do Arcanist brand, curse, and Blade Blast, and now you have a brand that curses and unnerves for you. So it's very interesting. I really like the Arcanist brand. Warcries have changed significantly. Using Warcry is now far more powerful than before, but comes with a longer use time and a longer cooldown. Cooldowns are no longer shared between Warcries. More notes can be found in the review post. The goal of these changes is to have Warcries be something that has a far more significant impact on combat, with a great reward for taking the risk of standing still and using an ability while surrounded. Using multiple different Warcries is now possible, and a recent heavily invest in a mechanic that you're able to take advantage of multiple ways on a single character. For those that prefer the old playstyle, we added the Keystone that lets you use the Warcry instantly at the cost of being unable to take advantage of multiple Warcries. This isn't the Keystone that's designed for characters that have heavily invested Warcries, but rather for characters that have a specific single Warcry they wish to take advantage of. It's interesting that they don't mention that they're going to be removing the current notable. I mean, it's kind of given, but they should mention it. But we have a notable that we can anoint for someone who never gets here to make them instant. I still think they should mention it somewhere. Many new Warcry passive classes have been added, providing more avenues for investment in cooldown recovery, faster use time, giving powerful damage bonuses when using exerted attacks, and rewarding the use of multiple Warcries. It's gonna be interesting to see if people actually end up using a lot of different Warcries instead of just making one instant and having the left click. Many existing unique items with Warcry related mods have been changed significantly, with some giving entirely new effects. Most notably the Warbrand shields. Ooh. Stun. Change to the power's low attacks have resulted in it being much easier to stun bosses simply because of how much damage you can do in a single hit relative to their health. Rather than increasing the stun threshold, bosses now become immune to stuns for a short duration after being stunned. Most major bosses and map bosses have a stun immunity duration of 2 seconds. This duration is longer in powerful bosses like Guardians, Shaper, Elder, and Zeros, lasting 4 seconds. Oh. Stunning is now a great defensive advantage for slow hitting characters without completely mitigating the threat of an encounter. Stun duration becomes more important as you can no longer chain together many short duration stuns. Now the question is, how long can... Wait, okay. So the question is, after being stunned or after the stun duration ends? That's what they should have told us here. Because I don't know if the cooldown of 4 seconds begins when I stun the boss or when the stun on the boss disappears. It literally says so. Yeah, after being stunned, but that maybe I'm just bad at English. I don't know. But to me, this could also mean that when there's 2 points to a stun. There's the point where the stun begins. It is stunned, and then when the stun ends, I'd call them 2 different things. But this could also mean that after being stunned, this could mean that when the stun ends, I'm assuming that it's after the stun ends, the cooldown starts, but they need to be much more clear about that. Either way, this is a big nerf to those builds that wanted to invest in the stuns as a defensive mechanic. Now, a lot of builds that don't invest in the stun can have it as like a side defensive mechanic. And yeah, man, they're better P a new keystone that gives you like a crazy stun duration or something like that. Oh yeah, F Quinn. Okay. Not a big fan of this honestly right now, but it's hard to say. But it's definitely a nerf to build the one in the really go stun. But yeah, so the reason why I'm wondering here is because if the cooldown starts when it gets stunned, and not after when the stun ends, if you have a very long stun, the 4-second cooldown isn't gonna be as big. But because it says without completely mitigating the thread, so this makes me believe that because you could scale the stun duration to like some ridiculous numbers to steal a permastun, so I assume the point of here is that, you know, it doesn't get permastun. Then again, permastun builds as they are right now, especially in the after these changes, without of course the stun changes, would be insane. So it kind of makes sense. Saying any changes, we made some changes to Hierophant, Chieftain, and Berserker that we'll be revealing soon. These are changes to one major notable in each tree, focusing on creating powerful individual mechanics that greatly influence how you play, rather than overloading ascendancy with a plethora of related stats. The Necromancer's Corpse Pack now has its maximum of 200% increased attack speed from consuming corpses, as it was possible to get value of self-scaled problem numbers. Yeah. You Arcanist brand corpses, and then you just spam stuff like crazy. This was very needed. Also, 200% attack speed, gas speed is like insane already, right? So yeah. They should have included a short GIF of showing the attack speed scaling with this. Because this makes sense. Keystones. We've added new keystones to the Marauder Duelist section of the tree. These allow investment in slow impale attacks. Wait, what is this? The Impaler. When your hits impale enemies, also impale other enemies near them. Inflicts 4 additional impales on enemies you impale. Ooh. Enemies cannot be impaled for 4 seconds after you impale them? I mean, I guess we just stop leap slamming then. Oh my god, that is so bad on a leap slam. Holy fuck. Imagine playing any build that has global chance to impale that isn't specific to the main skill. Oh my god. I mean, you know, they really want us to not play leap slam, like use leap slam anymore as a travel skill. Also, earthquake aftershock. Oh no! Ah! Ouch! Oh no 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 no. Okay. Okay, so people will use this, but I feel like for most builds this is gonna be bad. You will never use this on Earthquake. A build that's... And if you have a build that has any global chance to impale, so basically if you're a champion, you take any of these impale nodes that... Okay, oh look at that, chance to impale. Oh shit. Oh shit, chance to impale, chance to impale. Wait, sorry, that's not chance to impale, that's not chance to impale. Oh, look at that, chance to impale. Oh. Oh. Yikes, dude. Or Dread Banner, yeah. Or have the IPD Impale hybrid craft. You know, the 100% IPD craft with the chance to impale. To cap your impale chance early. Oh, yo, actually, you know how you're gonna use this on Earthquake? You get 50% chance to impale, and then you pray that the initial hit doesn't impale, and then Aftershock does. Oh god, dude. Oh fuck me. Oh no 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 no. Yikes. Mitigating big hits with armor. Oh. Imbalanced guard. 100% chance to defend with double armor. Maximum damage reduction for any damage type is 50%. Armor is treated as double value only for calculating damage mitigation. Interesting. This is very interesting because this doesn't count resist. This is less damage and reduced damage taken, right? Wait, I need some clarification on this. Because you would never use this if this affects resistances. Unless you get another 5 keystones. I think Reddit had some more comments on this. Okay, we'll come back to this after we're done. Or we read this since you just gave it to me. Type damage reduction is only the reduction that comes from armor and sources of additional damage reduction, so less or reduced. Damage reduction for each type is usually capped at 90%. Currently, there are sources of additional physical damage reduction. Oh, yeah, like that. Most notably, this is one of the base benefit players get from entering charges, but no sources of additional damage reduction for any other type. Armor by default only applies physical damage reduction, but this patch introduces ways to change that, and thus the keystone has to account for those. No other mechanics or damage reductions. Oh, so it's not even including less and reduced. That's big. Yeah, that's big. Holy fuck. This is insane for big hits. So if it's shit if you have endurance charges. I mean, if you have a lot of endurance charge, but the thing is, you can do this for elemental damage using the other cluster that makes. Well, sorry, was it only for lightning damage? I think it might have been only lightning damage. Or was it all any damage? Fuck, I don't remember. Was it all? What's the name of that? Does I have a link for it? I remember it being all Ellie, right? So this plus that combined. Oh yeah, sorry, it was the Doriani, the chest was lightning damage. Oh, yeah, this plus the armor effects Ellie damage is pretty nice. But yeah, so the thing here is though that the point of this is to make the the biggest issue with armor right now is that it doesn't really help too much against like super big slams, right? And that's gonna be the issue with if you use the Ellie damage. Like take the Ellie damage as if this one, thank you. So when you combine, if you combine with this, armor applies to fire cone and lightning damage from hits, right? So when you use this on top, then big lightning, cold, and fire hits will also go through your armor like crazy. But with this, because you double the armor value, it allows you to actually get a decent amount of armor so that you get a good reduction, and then it caps at 50. So it's not like 90 for everything. This is a very... Yeah, it makes it so that you don't have to invest as much into armor to get to the cap. But obviously, the downside of this is that if there's a lot of small hits that you would normally have 90% damage mitigation, now it's gonna be capped at 50, right? But that's the whole point. The whole point is to make it so that you have a good mitigation against big hits. That's the whole point is that. I like this. This is a very nice node. Like a keystone. Yeah, this is very cool keystone. Oh shit! It's even a spot that you can take on a necro. Levels out damage reduction between small big hits. Yeah, kinda. Is this good with a lot of armor or a little armor? Potentially both. Depends on the size of the hit.
If you're doing content that doesn't do like a massive big hits and you already have a good amount of armor, then this isn't great. But if you're doing bossing, where you have absolutely nutty like one-shot things that your armor doesn't really help much against, then this is big. How does this synergize with Glancing Blows? Glancing Blows is not a... Wait, what do you mean? It's just another damage, like a... So, according to Mark, no other mechanics are damage reduction except it's literally just talking about the additional damage reduction, like additional physical damage reduction, and then the armor, right? Well, armor gives you a physical damage reduction, right? Yeah, this means less spike damage. Dude, I like this. I like this a lot. Making Warcraft more accessible to non-Warcraft builds. Each of these allows you to improve some weaknesses that certain strength-based characters, especially 200 melee characters, could have. Then again, if you're a Jock that does nothing else but scale armor, then that isn't gonna be a good node for you. Many powerful keystones that were previously only available from Timeless Jewels have been moved to the passive tree, such as Glancing Blows, Agnostic, and Indent. Buff to Necro. Yeah, a Necro that doesn't get like a crazy investment into armor could take that, and it would help a lot, yes. Other passive tree changes. We made a large number of changes to the passive tree with the intent of supporting recently introduced mechanics, as well as providing more variety to clusters, especially those lacking obvious power. Cold dot clusters? Jewel? Okay, it's not talking about cluster jewels, it's clusters. We want to add support for mechanics that have been added in the past few years that as of yet do not have adequate support on the passive tree. Include raids, unleash, corpse manipulation, warcries, heralds, and banners. The unleash is gonna be nice. The warcry clusters that affect exerted attacks are very useful for lower attacks. The martial experience cluster is a good example of how total recovery per second from life leech has improved. Now taking the longer path through this cluster will give 222% instead. Wait, where is martial? Oh, so they over doubled it? Huh. Huh. That's pretty nice. That's very nice, because now you can just cap your leech in like few hits then. Yeah. These changes were made so big hit against boss still provides significant life leech per second. This was one of the biggest issues with slow hitting builds is leech. Because it was so hard to cap the 20% leech cap, because you didn't have a total recovery per second from life leech, so you had to do multiple hits to get to the cap, because the base cap is 2%, which means that you need to hit 10 times, or like, well, 10 individual hits, so it could be like 1 hit on a big pack or 10 hits on a boss. And that's why like the fast hitting weapons like builds felt like they had much better leech, because they just capped their leech cap much faster. So this is big. This is very big. The question is, are we gonna have more of this easily available? But yeah, this cluster is now very nice. These, many passive skill clusters offer the same thing as other clusters, with the only differences being the location on the tree and the number of passive skills in the cluster. In this patch, we have endeavored to give each cluster its own identity and function. Critical strike multipliers have been lowered from almost every passive, as well as from some items. Critical based characters far exceeded non-critical characters later in the game. This will bring the two a little closer together. I would like to introduce you to my friend Maligaros with always 300 crit multi. I would like to see these gloves being used on more builds. Because right now the only build you really use them for is like Harald builds, because they just don't have enough points and slots to scale the crit multi, so they just use that instead. So I really hope we'll see more of those. I don't know. I hope they don't nerf them too much. Like 300 crit multi isn't that big. Obviously getting it from one item is a different story, but yeah. We've added new indigo oil between the azure and violet oils. This has made more common oils slightly rarer, without making rarer oils even rarer. Some notables will have updated oil costs as a result of changes to the passive tree. Not every indigo oil combination on amulets will yield a notable yet. There are no new blighted notable passives, and 2 existing blighted notable passives are now on the passive tree. New ring and blighted map anointment have been added. Ooh. I like this. About time that we can anoint every single notable now. Cluster Jewels. Cluster Jewels will remain in the game, available from daily encounters. Daily encounters will be less common, but will drop significantly more Cluster Jewels than before, and as we still want Cluster Jewels to be an accessible and major part of the character development, especially if you're actively trying to find them. Many Cluster Jewel notables were problematic when stacked multiple times. Rather than limiting notables to one, we've instead rebalanced or significantly changed these notables, or added caps to the maximum value you can receive from a certain kind of effect. Of particular note, purpose for a Harbinger now gives aura buffs from skills have 8% increased effect on you for herald affecting you up to 40%. So if you have 5 heralds, 1 notable will cap it, okay? Okay. Okay. Expected. 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 Changes to Warcries have meant that all Warcry Cluster Jewel notables have been reworked, which also introduced some new effects. So you go from like, you get like 300, so wait, if you have 6 right now, you get like 300%, right? Oh my god. No, you can get much more than that. Oh no, good build. If you're Elementalist that runs triple heralds, this is not bad. This is actually still not bad for those. But compared to what the build is right now, it's fucking gutted. It's just like it doesn't exist anymore. But the build, I mean, what did people expect? So that you can still have like 200%? 200%? Okay, so infinity multiplied by 0.10 is still infinity, okay? So I think this is totally justifiable. I can see people use this in the way that they originally wanted people to use them now. So if you're like Elementalist, you slap that in there and that's it. Okay, Chinese Warcries have meant that all Warcry tools now have been reworked, which also introduces some effects. I wonder, we need to see this, because some of them are also nice. But did people like actually expect to be able to do the same build? Like even half of the build? That's delusional, dude. Holy shit. Some classical brand notables have also been rebalanced. Weightings of notables and other modifiers have been adjusted. Oh shit, wall molten shell. Oh shit. Okay, need to read this quick. Ratings of notables and other modifiers have been adjusted, with the most powerful notables and 2 jewel sockets being much less common, as crafting an exceptional glass jewel was far too easy. Weightings of notables and other modifiers have been adjusted, with the most powerful notables and 2 jewel sockets being much less common. Okay. Ooh. It's time to invest into alterations, boys. It is time to change your filters to show every single white and magic ring and amulet, and then on the white ones you just alk them, and then you have a 60 amulets slash rings after every time you portal out of map, and you're gonna make a lot of alts, and then you're gonna make a lot of money. Okay, you heard it here first. Alt Exalt noise, yeah. The unique jewels from Simulacrum will still be available, though will be rare as a result of Delirium not being in every area. Voices and Megalomaniac are unchanged, while Spirit Person is now limited to 2. This jewel was the go-to jewel for any attribute stacking build, so we want to push more variation. Good nerf. I feel like they should have limited it to 1, but yeah, this is good. This was so ridiculous. If they didn't nerf the split personality, we would see crazy amount of stats attribute stacking this league. Oh yeah, it limited to 2 makes it's very thematic for sure. You're right. Yeah, this is fine. No keystones from any of the Delirium unique jewels have been changed, though like similar to jewels, this will be less frequent as you'll be encountering unique bosses that drop from them less frequently. These cluster jewel notables will no longer be available. POE DP is up. I don't remember what these are. Attack damage per armor or evasion. Crit multi per maximum energy on shield. Okay. Deep cuts is the impale one. Oh no! Oh no! The confident component is gonna be gone. Also, no witnesses obviously because it's an oh shit, because it's in a skill tree now. Some notables or some of their effects have been moved to the passive tree, with Deep Cut being the only exception. Yeah, but I'm just gonna show you something, okay? Quick. So look at the damage value here. 6,6,250,000. Oh shit, dude. So the end game block builds, if they don't need extra ES from the notables or block slash dodge for the avoidance things, you could just go confident combatant. You know how small passive jewels were supposed to be defensive ones? You know what? Just put a damage notable in there. Because why not? Shit. I mean, it makes sense. This is way too powerful for 2 nodes. So maybe they're actually gonna be defensive now. Who knows? So I understand why they did that. Oh yeah, so okay, so we could replace this with a stuff like this. Let's actually see the difference quick. If we had a very nice, you know, double damage. So it's not that big of a difference, and we gained 6 points. So honestly, it's gonna be fine. But we also lost. How much block did we lose? We lost a bit of block because of that. 6% block because the travelings are 1 point, right? Yeah, just put energy from knots and we are like 13k ES with that. Okay. Wall Molten Shell was providing too much damage mitigation for too long with too little investment. That is absolutely true. This resulted in Wall Molten Shell being used on a huge proportion of characters, including those that didn't get much armor beyond a Granite Flask. We intend to keep it as the best defensive wall skill for armor invested characters while bringing it closer in power to Wall Craze. I mean, Wall Craze is insane, so okay. It will still last for a long duration, but now regards a greater value of armor to reach its cap and mitigates a much lower percentage of damage. While active, it also gives more armor instead of flat value of armor. Oh, so it makes it even better, easier to get for... so it's gonna... Huh. I wonder how much lower the percentage is. How much is it right now? I don't remember. Is it 70%? Oh, it's 80%. Okay. I'm expecting it to drop to like 60 then. I mean, it was way too good. It was way too good. Modify your existing armor value rather than giving an effect that is less relevant to armor. Yeah, I mean this is very good change here. So it makes it easier for armor builds to actually reach the cap. Oh yeah, I guess I didn't actually talk too much about the crit multi thing. I think it's fine them nerfing crit multi. It's way too powerful. Sure, it needed you to usually invest a bit more in the damage, but it was way too good. I wonder what the values will be. They should have included the values here. Wall Molten Shell also removes and is removed by other guard skills. Oh, okay. Okay, that's no more Necromancer stacking VMS and bone armor. You could have bone armor on like left click and then stack VMS with that. Also arcane cloak, yeah. This also makes the castman damage taken increased duration I don't remember what the other one was called. The 4-link. Cast for damage taken increased duration, then you have VMS. Steel skin, yeah, steel skin before VMS, so that the steel skin would always cancel out normal molten shell, but then you could cast VMS on top of it. Molten shell itself will remain unchanged. What's the mitigation of molten shell? Because molten shell alone is really good already. Like, wait, I'm confused. It has 75% damage mitigation. And VMS is 80? Now I'm confused. And mitigates a much lower percentage of damage. What? There's no way they're gonna make VMS have a less mitigation than normal molten shell? Or is it just gonna be have a much longer duration, easier to cap, but mitigates less? And then molten shell being like a short duration with a much higher value? What? Yeah, but the point I'm making here is there are builds that has capped molten shell effect already. And just, if you have a lot of armor, normal molten shell is incredibly powerful already. And that's gonna stay unchanged. So, there might be cases where normal molten shell is stronger than wall molten shell? That sounds very weird. Then again, you could argue that Grace can be stronger than Wall Grace. So they're like two different skills now. I don't know. Huh. That's very interesting. I mean, this is absolutely justified nerf. It might still be too strong. We'll see. Cyclone. Oh, we have removed the stun immunity from Cyclone, but made no other changes to it. The immunity was originally added to prevent implementation problems when positional desync was common. Now that's core part of the skill's design. Being able to move while dealing damage is already powerful defensive benefit, and melee attackers are usually more resistant to stuns. Ooh, that's gonna be that's a big oof to cast on crit builds. There's no rule that Val's skill has to be better than non-Val in all cases. No, but Val's skill is a stronger version of the normal skill. That's how Val's skills are kinda, you know, sold out as to the player base. In general. Obviously, that's not the case all the time. Huh. The skill will still make you immune to knockback, and Val Cyclone still remains. Val Cyclone still remains its stun immune. Nice. Okay, that's a big nerf to cast on crits builds. I mean, Arcane Swiftness, 80% chance to avoid stuns if you killed recently and you're stun immune while mapping. So, like, whatever. Is this the time when we start seeing people do cast on crit as a trickster? Especially now that crit multi has been nerfed. So you might want to go for the conversion route instead. Huh? Maybe. This is the buff to tricksters we needed. Okay? More people will play cast on crit trickster. Archmage support provided 2 significant power increase for builds when built around very heavily. We made changes to bring it more in line with other builds while still noting that it's going to be a huge source of power for mana invested builds. It now provides less added lightning damage based on mana spent than it did before, down to 108%. What was it at level 20 right now? 128. 120 is 128 at 21 or 20? I'm assuming this is going to be 109 at level 21. Yeah. Okay. That is a decent nerf. But I think it's still gonna be fine. Yeah. Still gonna be fine. Oh wait, no, it gets more. So this is gonna be like 110 at level 21 maybe. At what level does Archmage have 108% right now? So basically, go map with a level 14 Archmage and see if it's fine. Okay. We changed most items that increase mana cost. Oh. Fevered Mind has been reworked and is now limited to 1. Voidbringer and Apex Rage now add a flat mana cost rather than a percentage modifier. These items provided 2 greater damage multipliers from a single unique, as their one downside had become an upside. Okay, so I guess Ventra is not gonna be playing Archmage, Orbostorm, Cremation. Oof. Oof. Interesting. I think, I mean, the build works without Voidbringer, without Apex, and with one Fevered Mind. Like, it's not gonna be as insane and as easy, but because right now it's like insane with no investment. Blood Reaper. Wait, does Blood Reaper have an increased cost? Kriva could also mean doubles mana cost. True, but I don't think they're gonna do that. Oh, that's pretty funny. Any Reapers? We added a new passive class in 3 that let you increase the mana cost of your skills as a new avenue of investment, so at values much lower than what could be gained from unique items. Okay. Okay. I mean, that's nice. I like that. That's a buff to all self-fun. Early on, at least. It's probably gonna be good enough. It's just gonna be more investment, right? And it doesn't give you a gazillion DPS with no investment. Unique rebalance. We've made many changes to unique items that were either failing to achieve their desired goals, had fallen behind other competing items, or were not deemed interesting enough for our current standards for unique items. Our goal for each of these unique items is to make sure there is a place for them on characters, even if the place is while leveling, and to do this in more interesting ways where possible. Many of the changes are not numerical, either because the item was already sufficiently interesting or because it would stray too much from a supporter's original intention when the item was designed. More information will be coming in the patch notes. 200 unique weapons have been reviewed and tweaked as a result of their base. Overall, rare items should be more compatible with most powerful unique items. And there will be a greater variety of useful unique 200 weapons. A few unique weapons that provide too much power, especially after changing their base type, have had some values lower. The Starforge, Disintegrator, and Hedges era will now have lower damage per second than on live, while other items remain the same or improved. Okay, interesting. I did not expect that. Yeah, I did not see that coming. Starforce received the most significant reduction of damage. It provided more physical damage than any other unique weapon by a huge margin, as it was designed before pure physical damage was a competitive way to build skills. That's a good point. That's a good point. It is now more in line with damage of other unique weapons while retaining its special shock area and life modifier. It now has a custom because of 30% increased global physical damage as seen from a short base type now keeps 30% early damage. Okay. Okay. The Circle of Fear, Nostalgia, Regret, Anguish, and Quilt unique rings that affected heralds now give lower values of reservation cost reduction and lower values of buff effects. Thank you for finally nerfing these rings. Actually, I'm happy about seeing this nerf. I mean, we'll need to see how much of a nerf it is. But this is good. These rings were fucking insane. Also, the Facebreaker gets another hit. Oh my god. Somebody call a doctor. Facebreaker is gonna need a surgery or something soon. After this much beating. Oh. The skills losing their flat damage. Cyclone losing immunity, stun immune, but that's for most Facebreakers build, that's gonna be whatever. Whew. And now this. Then again, Facebreakers with all of the things, you know, coming up after, you know. Oh yeah, then the Herald of Purity. They were pretty nuts. Like they just kept buffing Facebreakers without like actually like buffing it itself, but from all the other stuff. So it's fine. It's gonna be fine, boys. It's a big nerf to it, but it's gonna be fine. Threshold juice. The unique threshold juice for Dual Strike, Magma Orb, Molten Strike, and Fireball have been changed. They now provide effects that change how the skill is built or downsides to offset their beneficial effect, each acting as a way to change how you build or play a skill rather than must have boost at the cost of a jewel slot. Clayton's Hammer Shatter Chains will no longer drop. Okay, that's gonna be interesting because the fireball. Wait, where's Freeze Pool and Frostbolt? They mention. Where is it? Where's the mention? Or play a skill rather than a must-have boost at a cost of a jewel slot. Both Frostbolt and Freeze Pools basically require 2 threshold jewels if you want to play them properly. Obviously, if you're playing like a cast on crit build, then having 1 was enough, but just use GMP. Just use GMP instead of 2 slots. Have you looked at the damage difference between 2 4-prop damage jewels and GMP versus not using GMP and using 2 threshold jewels? If you haven't, I can save you some time the threshold tools are far better. Ooh. All of these skills have been given increase the damage area or utility to compensate for power lost. Fireball buffs, maybe. We'll continue to look at the roles of other threshold tools over time, making changes where possible and appropriate. Okay. It's interesting when they mention must have and then they don't include freeze pulse or frostbolt. Slower projectiles. Support should now grant a lower value of less projectile speed than before. This is because the single support was massively multiplied close range damage of certain skills. Pepe Laugh, Ball Lightning. And all of them were being balanced around the value from this support. It also means we can be more generous with projectile speed granted by other sources. Molten Strike. Magma Orb and Ball Lightning have had their damage and some other properties improved as their close range damage is now affected by lowered projectile speed. Okay. Interesting. All their smaller changes. The Shakari Pantheon has had its modifier changed to half the duration of poisons on you and prevent you being poisoned while having at least 5 poison effects on you. This Pantheon retrievalized the mechanic that was the core of one of our 4 major guardians of the current endgame and prevented poison being threatening a mechanic to any character. Pepe laughs. CI. Oh no 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 no. A lot of people are gonna die to the chaos guy now on life builds. I guess it's time to just anti-venom from the cluster jewels. Flask swap. I mean, for builds that can kill the boss in the duration of the 3 or 2 uses of the flask, don't have an issue to begin with, but laughing ignited captures. Obviously, there's other ways to build against it, but this was like a very easy way to make the fight much easier. We've made improvements to Totem AI. For certain skills that had special targets, like Blade Blast and Corpse skills that, like Dead are Dead, Vulnerable Dead, and Cremation Punishment. Okay. Hexproof now gives immunity to curses, on top of preventing any curse being applied. This means that if you gain Hexproof, you'll immediately remove any curse on you. This was an oversight that this wasn't already the case, and will that stealing Hexproof from enemies will now clear all curses off you. Huh. About time. About goddamn time to kill Headhunter self-temp chains. This has been a long awaited change. I like how it's other small changes. While this is like a massive nerf to a lot of I mean, Headhunter was good. Headhunter was good before all your Headhunter abused players were even using temp chains. The temp chains Headhunter memes isn't exactly a super old thing. It took a long time for those people to actually start doing it. Headhunter is still gonna be insane. It's just not gonna be insane multiplied by 4. Like it actually took a really long time before self-temp chains Headhunter picked up. It was in the game for so many years before people started actually doing it. Conclusion. This outlines just a portion of the changes you'll see in Path of Exile Harvest. They are all subject to change prior to release, and you'll see more information in the patch notes tomorrow. We look forward to seeing how players wield the new power introduced in Path of Exile Harvest. In the meantime, we'll pour out Flask for falling meta builds. Okay. I want to check GGG tracker quick if there's anything new here before I make the TLDR. Mark on Rampage. Oh, wait. What is this? Increased quantity of items. Fortune favors the brave. Anarchy, Breach, Ambush, Nemesis, Harvey, Metamorph, Legion. No! Where's my essence? Where's my essence, dude? No! God damn it. Also, no Beyond. Oh, shit. Everyone gets a Headhunter now. Keep on. Okay. A Metamorph is pretty nice. It's gonna be very easy to get all the catalysts with Metamorph. Okay, let's see what Mark has to say. We already saw that. Yes. Okay. Yeah. What is this? Why not call it damage suppression or some other synonym that would not confuse the reduced damage taken? Or even reduced damage taken that suppress damage. This was considered, but physical damage reduction has been in the game for a long time with that description, and it changing would involve a lot of changes to stuff players are familiar with. That would just create other confusing. It hasn't traditionally caused huge amounts of confusion with regard to reduced physical damage taken. Reduced. It's definitely an option. We'll continue. Could you give us some insight how cool this is and the items that you curse export enemies work? The notes. Why is this -4? Wait. Could you give some insights how cool this tendency and items that let you curse hexproof enemies now work? The note stating hexproof now gives immunity to curses on top of preventing any curse being applied. I don't understand why this is avoided. This is a legit question. But the word wasn't the wording here what's the coolest? Where are you? Curses can apply to hexproof enemies, where shows hexproof now gives immunity curses on top of preventing any curse being applied. This means that if you gain hexproof, Yeah, the thing here is that this says so the hex. So what they changed hexproof in a way that when you get it, you are now immune as well. But now, because of the wording here is you can your curse applied to hexproof enemies, so this still bypasses the curse immunity on the enemies, so it doesn't actually do anything here. Or it's monsters. It's monsters or enemies, I don't remember. Yeah, enemies. So if you're a cultist and you get hexproof on yourself, you're not an enemy of yourself, even though you probably would want it to be, so it doesn't bypass the curse on you. But that's not what Empu was asking. Empu was specifically asking if the enemies stay curse immune after this change, which they don't. I'm not. Yeah, he's not asking about self-cursing. I'm asking what happens when I curse enemies as an occultist with your curses can apply to hexproof enemies, and while the enemies have hexproof, now give us again. It's good to find the clarification, but when you read the wording, I think it's clear enough that the hexproof is being bypassed by the profane bloom. Okay, anything else here? Yep, but about less damage taken 45. No other mechanics means no other mechanics. Nice. So the only thing that the keystone applies to. Where is it? Is it here still? Somewhere. Yeah. So only thing this maximum damage reduction for any damage type applies to is additional damage reduction from like entering charges, and then the armor. Not resist, not reduce damage taken from I can't think of anything right now. Basalt Flask and not less damage taken. Wait, no, Basalt. Wait, no. Basalt does count because Basalt is. Wait, fuck, I don't have Basalt on this character. Basalt is additional physical damage taken. But you would just replace Basalt with Granite now. Yeah. So this does apply to Basalt. Can I use Transition Imbalance Guard and get the following results? Elemental Resist applies first elemental damage. The remaining 30% elemental damage can be mitigated by armor. Yep. Very good. Very good. Very good combination now. lore we might actually see use this league, dude. The interesting thing about this, though, is that they specifically mentioned that we're gonna get two-hander defenses, but I can see all of these defenses being used on all kinds of builds. The only thing being stun, but stun is getting nerfed from being abusable, right? Okay. That's interesting badge notes. Well, the balance manifesto. I guess time for them TLDR. So I guess the first thing here is I really like most of the things here. There are very few things I didn't really like. In general, the buffs to two-handed melee weapons sounds fine. It's gonna be hard to see if they're actually gonna feel good enough to play with. But there's a few things that I don't like about it come too soon. Dual wield. I like what they're doing here, and or the goal where two-handed. So they're removing the physical damage modifier, which is 20% more when dual wielding. Because for the longest time, dual wielding has always been the most damage and the fastest. So I like where they're going with you have some defenses with dual wield be the fastest, and then 200 would be the slowest with most damage, and then shield would be least damage, slightly faster than a 200 and the most defenses. That's sounds like it should be. Remains to be seen if that's gonna be the case. And it feels a tiny bit odd that they're nerfing dual wield rather than just buffing the two-handers even more. The brand changes. I kind of dislike that they're making a big. It's gonna be a big hit to the playstyle of brands, or it sounds like it. But the introduction of the Arcanist brand is very nice. It's gonna be such a insane utility setup. But overall, I understand why they're doing the nerf to brands. I feel like they should have just lowered the damage and kept lowered the damage a lot and kept the playstyle. There could also be. I wish there was a keystone with a downside that allows the brands to drop where the enemy dies for the chaining effect instead of just completely removing it. Warcries. The only thing I dislike about the Warcry changes, honestly, is probably the fact that because we're getting a new keystone with the instant Warcries, we can no longer anoint Battlecry. Obviously, this is gonna get removed, right? So we cannot get instant Warcries as anoint for builds in here that just wanted to have like Enduring Cry on left click or something like that. Everything else I pretty much like about them, but just the keystone. Obviously, there's a way to get it through the unique chess piece that gets keystones. I don't remember the name of it. Skin of the Lords or whatever, right? Man, it's gonna be so hard to get a proper skin now with all the keystones in the skill tree and then the sockets being. They should honestly make skin be able to recolor now, with so many keystones in the main skill tree, I think. Stun. Again, I understand why they're making the nerf to stun, so you can no longer perma stun. It's a bit ambiguous on the wording here. Bosses have map bosses are gonna have like 2-second cool like a stun immune, and then the major bosses like Guardian, Shaper, Elder Zero is gonna have 4 seconds. I'm also assuming this is gonna be. No, I guess most major bosses include like the new bosses on like 2 seconds. So it's because it's gonna be easier to stun. They don't want us to be perma-stunning anymore. So those permastun builds got a big hit. Builds that just do a lot of damage are gonna stun easier. But yeah, so the wording here is a tiny bit ambiguous. Bosses now become immune to stuns for a short duration after being stunned. So I'm assuming this means that the stun immunity becomes after the stun expires, not when it's applied first. Because if the stun immune began when the stun is applied to them the first time, that could mean that you could scale the stun duration and get a stun immune or close to stun immune that way. But they could have used a slightly better wording here, but the stuff here makes it further clear that it's gonna be after stun ends. But we'll see. Synergy changes. Don't really know much. The only thing is the Necromancer's Corpse Pact, which is you get attack and cast speed if you consume a corpse recently. But you could have Arcanist Brand casting corpses and whatnot, and then just like smash out VD and get like crazy attack and cast speeds. So it's a really good change. This change should have been there before already. There was other ways to get a crazy attack and cast speeds. Keystones. We're getting a lot of keystones. The slow impale one. This is kind of a yikes from me. This means that if you have a build that has any kind of global chance to impale, like you have some nodes on the skill tree, you're running the you have Watcher's Eye that gives you Watcher's Eye gives you extra impulse. Banner, Rep Banner gives you chance to impale. So if you leap slam into an enemy and you apply impales from that, you kind of fucked yourself. So I don't like that because of that. Also, this is basically completely useless for something like Earthquake now. So obviously you wouldn't take an Earthquake. So unless you play the RNG game and get 50%, and then you hope that the first hit doesn't impale, and then the aftershock does. But yeah, in general, I don't like this. I see what they're trying to do with it, but yeah. This, however, imbalanced guard with chance to defend with double armor. So basically, when armor is traded as double value, and the maximum damage from any damage type is 50%. This is a very good keystone, especially when you combine it with the keystone that makes armor apply or like effect hits from fire, cold, and lightning with -5 max res. This is a very, very, very powerful keystone for builds that don't have insane amount of armor to get their defenses against big like one-shot slams. Because the bigger the hit, the more it ignores your armor. So by doubling your armor, it's gonna make it much easier to get to the mitigation. And then there's the downside that caps the damage reduction to 50. Normally you could have like 90%, so like for small hits. So that's a nerf to a lot of small hits, but it's a big buff to consistency of not dying to one-shots. So I really like this keystone. Other changes, we got some new stuff we haven't seen too much about. I mean, we have seen some of this. I really like the more options in the skill tree, the better. One of the biggest issues with the 200 melee was that you couldn't get leech. So if you understand how leech works, each hit by default gives you 2% leech, 2% of your life leech as a life per second, and then there's a cap of 20%. So you would have to have 10 hits. So, you know, one big hit on a big bag of monsters or 10 on a boss. So it was really hard to cap your leech on slow builds. And now hopefully they're giving us more total recovery per second from leech. So this makes it so that a singular hit gives you more. Like it increases the leech instance from a singular hit. So instead of 2%, you can get to like 6.4 with this cluster alone. So that's very nice. The leech changes are good. Crit multi-nerf are justifiable. I think crit was way too... Crit made it too easy to trivialize most of the game. I agree with this. Remains to be seen if they go over the board with the nerf. We don't really know how much they're nerfing it. I see nerfs being fine, but we'll see. Obviously getting the oil so we can anoint everything now is really good. Cluster jewels. I pretty much agree with all of the cluster jewel changes. Personal Harbinging got a big nerf, but it deserved that. Very, 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 very much deserved this nerf. Wall Bolt and Shell changes are also absolutely fine. I think it's still gonna be good. Remains to be seen what the value is. Right now it's 80% of damage mitigated. And so they're making it also that instead of giving flat armor, it gives percentage. So, like more multi. So it makes it easier to cap on armored builds. So that's very nice. What's gonna be interesting is that they're nerfing the number. So right now it's 80%. Molten Shell has 75%. So if they nerf the mitigation from there, it might be better for a lot of builds to just use Molten Shell in terms of like the straw mitigation. Obviously, while Molten Shell is gonna have a long duration and all that, but yeah. Totally fine. Still gonna be strong. And then obviously it should have never worked with other guard skills to begin with. So you can't have the gas and damage taken, steel skin and VMS and combine the two anymore. And you can't have, if you're a necro, you can't have bone armor and then VMS at the same time, or arcane cloak and VMS. It makes sense. It should have never worked to begin with. Cyclone changes, fine. Builds that get nerfed by this the most can invest into stun avoidance or immunities elsewhere. Archmage nerf, like, justified nerf. It was way too much damage for little investment. And obviously when they introduced Archmage, they kind of forgot about Fevered Minds and Voidbringers and Apex existing. They should have changed these items when they introduced Archmage already. Unique rebalance. A bit surprised of the two-handed nerfs on these three items. But yeah. It kind of makes sense on the Starforge, because when they mentioned the Starforge had a lot of damage when it was introduced, because there wasn't ways to scale the pure physical before, but now there is. But yeah, then the circle rings nerfs. I mean, we need the numbers, but I like that they're being nerfed. They were way too powerful. I think the only thing that is just getting hit by the nerf bats, which isn't mentioned here, is face breakers. Because they're nerfing a lot of skills don't have the flat physical anymore, like Earthquake. Instead, they're gonna have like a higher multi, so that your weapon matters more, which makes sense. But kinda gets hit by the like face breaker gets hit by that a bit. Then the Herald of Purity no longer keeps flat, and then of course the circle nerfs. So Facebreaker is getting nerfed with indirectly from that, but have to remember that it was buffed indirectly by all them introducing all of those things. And when they introduced flat physical to Cyclone, it got an insane buff from that. So I think it's gonna be fine. I think Facebreaker has been like buffed and buffed and buffed unintentionally for a long time. So yeah. Oh, hey Ziggy, thanks for the raid. So I think it's probably still gonna be fine. Threshold jewels, I'm very surprised that they mention that they want to change must-have jewels, but then they don't mention freeze pulls or frostbolt at all, because they have must-have extra projectiles. Slower projectiles change is fine. Other small changes. Obviously, the hexproof is a big nerf to Headhunter with self-curse temp chains. It's still gonna be fine. Because for the longest, like, self-temp chaining a Headhunter box for yourself is relatively new thing. It took a... It was on the game for many years before everyone started abusing the combo. Like, very, very long time. And the monster density just keeps getting up and up and up. So it's gonna be fine. For those who do it. It took so long before it was the combo was put together. The Pantheon nerf for Shakari. I didn't see it coming, but I kind of understand why they did that. It was a bit too easy to get poison immunity, but there are other ways to mitigate against that now. It feels a bit weird, yeah. But now we have the Cluster Jewel for poison immune. There's much more ways to get chaos resist. So yeah. Overall, I'd rate these changes a 8.5 out of 10, where 10 would have been perfect. Most of these things I agree with.